mean, what first pulled you into the world of, say, international shipping and fulfillment for e-commerce as a whole?
Yeah, so I mean, I got into international precisely from the perspective of e-commerce and selling big and bulky. I was trying to actually import and distribute bulky items, furniture specifically, and couldn't figure out the logistics. It just didn't make any sense, the cost of it. So my grand idea was I'm gonna go work for a logistics company and figure it out. But like most people in logistics, got sucked into it full time and forgot all about
Right.
selling products. So that's been my sort of entry into the world of logistics. And then over the years, we worked with a lot of brands that sell bulky items, and it's all been manual. Sort of your traditional situation where a brand gets a inquiry from an overseas buyer asking to ship to whatever, like an American brand gets contacted by an Australian customer. The brand would contact us to get a quote. It'd take like a week to get a quote back to the buyer in Australia, who by the time, most of the time, has basically moved on, right? So, and this happened enough times that we realized, okay, maybe this is something we should try to solve and automate and build, for shopping carts. And that's kind of what got us into it. And after a couple of years of development, we launched the solution a couple of months ago, and just have seen tremendous impact and a lot of good feedback.
No, that's awesome. That's very cool, because it's like most people shy away from big and bulky, right? Like they don't really want to do that. That seems like too much risk and maybe too much cost structure associated with it. And obviously you said that you were sort of doing furniture, but where did you like have that aha moment of sort of seeing the opportunities? And like most people see like friction. They're like, don't go there. You're like, there's actually opportunity here. What was that sort of light bulb moment for you?
Yeah, so I think the challenge for us was all the quoting, right? Because it was manual. So I think some of the biggest customers we had at the time were arcade game manufacturers and sellers. And if you're selling an arcade game, you can't ship that with like UPS or FedEx, right? And they sell it domestically. Right. Typically, it's free shipping or they subsidize shipping. So what a typical brand does, they'll budget like $500 to ship like a large item, and then they would open like they bake it into the cost of goods or the price of goods and then offer free shipping. But every time you get an international buyer, now you got to go email a freight forwarder, get a quote, move all this information back and forth. It's very manual. So for us on the freight forwarding side, we were getting all these inquiries from our customers, and the conversion rate was extremely low because it took 2-3 days to quote. And by the time you get back to an online buyer, like you don't know this buyer, right? It's just a random inquiry. So the conversion rate is already low to begin with. Now you got to do all this work for 2-3 days. You're postponing the decision to purchase for this person, and therefore your conversion drops even lower, right? And now you got to do all this manual work. So on our end, we were quoting this, and we're like, okay, we need to automate the quoting first of all, because the conversion rate is low. We can't be so sort of labor intensive. So then we got into automating the quoting, into like international quoting, right? And from there on, we're like, okay, so now our customers, which is the brand or the merchant, still has to email us for a quote. So why don't we connect to the shopping cart? And if a customer comes on from another country, why don't we just display the rate instantly to them on the shopping cart? And that was the progression of the development. And then we got into, obviously, the next thing that follows is, okay, how do you do with taxes? How do you do with duties? How do you do with customs clearance? And started building on top of that initial setup. And we're still building.
Yeah, for sure. So you would say sort of the D2C logistics hurdles where with big and bulky was like actually one, like getting the quotes in a timely enough manner, right? And then layering in all of the other kind of challenges with that, taxes and all the other associated costs that are going into that, right? And so that was your challenge essentially, is taking too much time right? It was then you were losing sales over that in that process, right?
Yeah, as a
So
logistics provider, yeah, that's the problem, right? But then our
yeah,
customers are losing the sales, and a lot of times they just wouldn't even pursue these opportunities, because
right,
of all the
yeah,
work involved. Yeah.
for sure. So then what was the turning point, that kind of caused you to go like, we there's a solution for this, and kind of walking us through what you're doing now to kind of solve those problems.
Yeah, so I think the turning point was just it wasn't so much like a point we reached where it was like a turning point. It was more of we constantly kept seeing this. Like we're on our end, we're
Mm-hmm.
fighting the conversion, right? So we go to our customers and like, hey, we quoted you 100 shipments, you only shipped 10, right? So how come? And
Mm-hmm.
they were like, well, these are online customers, we don't know them, they are interested, we quote it, and they don't want to buy it because it took a week
Mm-hmm.
to get back to them, they found something else
Sure.
locally, etc., etc. So by solving our conversion problem, we were solving their conversion problem. And it's not
Yep.
so much that we're solving the conversion problem, is that we're reducing the manual work that you would need to do. So you essentially don't care if your conversion is low on the international front. If you have, 10 customers
Mm-hmm.
from, let's say, UK trying to buy your product that you sell in the United States, if only one of them buys, it's still one sale that you wouldn't have. Now we're talking about big and
Mm-hmm.
bulky, expensive, so revenue-wise, it's worth it. But if you have to do 10 manual quotes to do it, that's a lot of work, and most
Sure.
brands just don't do it. So by automating it, we're basically saying it doesn't matter if the conversion rate is low, right?
Mm-hmm.
You still serve the customer, and you don't lose the sale. And
Right.
then there's something to be said, obviously, if a customer is on your website trying to check out, uh, if you serve them the rate on the spot, if you allow them to purchase, your conversion rate is much, much higher than relying on the customer to email you for you to get back to them days later with a
For sure.
manual quote, right? That's just a whole different conversion game there.
Yeah, so it was almost that automation process, right? Where you could start to delivering almost sort of real-time quotes for big and bulky that wasn't really the standard operating procedure in the past,
Yeah,
right? That was the breakthrough moment for you to kind of like, we could automate this.
yeah. I mean, it still doesn't exist. It's just, as far as we know, we're the only ones who've solved this, at least internationally. We're the only ones, right?
Yeah,
So
for sure.
there's a few other solutions for domestic sales. So if you sell large items that
Mm-hmm.
require freight delivery, not like parcel, there's some solutions out there that exist. So you
Mm-hmm.
could actually handle, you could calculate shipping on the shopping cart level instantly. But for international, it's just
Yeah.
really, most brands just don't sell international if your product is big and bulky.
Right, right. And they just choose not to do it because, like logistics usually hides in the background, right? And not like we kind of talked about at the beginning, but it does shape your brand trust. And so being able to deliver a quote and deliver this in a quick way, I think helps to, solidify your brand